This is the AGM-86 ALCM, or Air-Launched Cruise Missile. Built by Boeing and produced in 1980, it is an air-launched land attack cruise missile launched from the Boeing B-52 Stratofortress, and it would see action in the Gulf War. The AGM-86 is a family, and in that family are different variants with different jobs, known as the AGM-86 Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta, or A, B, C, and D. We'll start with the Bravo first because the Charlie and Delta are a little special, and we'll just outright ignore the Alpha because that was just a prototype. Sorry, Alpha. Pushing this missile is a Williams International F-107 WR-101 turbofan engine, giving it 600 pounds of thrust. With a maximum speed of approximately 434 knots, 500 miles per hour, or 804.6 kilometers per hour. Accompanying that speed is a range of approximately 1,500 miles, or 2,414 kilometers. And its wingspan is 12 feet, or 3.6 meters. And the missile knows where it is and isn't because it's guided by its Inertial Navigation System, or INS, along with something called Terrain Contour Matching, or TERCOM. To keep it short and sweet, the missile has a stored pre-planned route gathered from satellite reconnaissance or aircraft data. And on this data is the terrain's elevation. While the missile is in flight, it will match the terrain below it with its radar altimeter to determine if it's on the right course. If it sees it's on the wrong course, it will correct itself. Now, TERCOM had its problems in the past, but that's a topic for another time. So you might be wondering, why not use GPS? Well, the Bravo has a special purpose. Housed inside of it is a W-80 thermonuclear warhead, containing a blast yield of approximately 5 to 150 kilotons. New York for scale. Now, more than likely they do have GPS, but official sources won't declare if they do. But for its special purpose, keeping GPS off this particular variant would help it to not be jammed by GPS jammers, throwing it off its course to its intended target. Now, moving away from the nuclear junk, we have the AGM-86 C and D. We'll refer to them as the Charlie and Delta. They both have the same wingspan, but not the same speed as the Bravo. That's classified. Its range, according to Airforce.mil, is 600 miles or 965.6 kilometers. This leaves me to believe that they have a different engine that gives it more thrust, but uses more fuel. Otherwise, they have the same engine as the Bravo. Tell me in the comments what you think. Just don't turn it into the War Thunder forums. Now, their method of guidance is GPS along with inertial navigation as a backup with degraded accuracy, in case GPS becomes unreliable. As for the warhead, the Charlie has two versions. One with a 200-pound conventional blast frag warhead, known as the Charlie Block 0, and one with a 300-pound blast frag warhead, known as the Charlie Block 1. The Delta uses an advanced unitary penetrating warhead, giving it the ability to engage hardened targets like hardened aircraft bunkers, whereas the Charlie would be more suited for something like a parked aircraft. Like I said in the beginning, the B-52 carries this missile and is the only aircraft. The AGM-86 Charlie was deployed on January of 1991 and saw action on the first night of Operation Desert Storm in the Gulf War, when 7 B-52s launched from Barksdale Air Base all the way in Louisiana and fly all the way near Iraq to launch 35 Charlie variants at high priority targets in Iraq. 8 missiles can be stored on a rotary rack inside the munitions bay of the B-52. And apparently that's not enough because it can carry 6 more externally on hardpoints mounted on each wing, bringing the total load to 20 cruise missiles. When mounted, the missiles' rear fins are folded along with its wings and the air intake for the engine. And once launched, they all deploy. Comparing this missile to Russia's goofiest looking missile, the KH-65 Kent B, the KH-65 has more range and more speed. It's also nuclear capable and conventional as well. Okay, so we're going to run this missile through a scenario now. Today our B-52s are taking off from an airbase to engage aircraft bunkers in Syria. The missiles will be guided by GPS, and all the coordinates have been entered into all the missiles on the ground. The missiles being conventional AGM-86 Deltas, of course, as they have the penetrating warhead I mentioned earlier. After a long flight, the B-52s will launch their weapons at a reasonable range. There's nothing more they can do, so they go home. The 86s will fly as low as possible to avoid enemy air defenses. Systems like the Tunguska and Tor can still bring weapons like these down. To make the scenario more interesting, there are some protecting the airfield. At their final stage, they'll perform a pop-up maneuver to stay clear of any obstacles. The AGM-86 Charlie and Delta have been put out of service by the United States Air Force in 2019, but the Bravos are still in service. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, more than likely you will enjoy the AIM-120 AMRAAM video I have up. But before you go, remember to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Stay safe.